A devastating plane crash has left the Bahamas in mourning after all the 10 people aboard a small passenger aircraft lost their lives. Well, the tragedy near North and on what was supposed to be of the nation instead found itself grieving one of its deadliest aviation disasters in the recent years. Well, according to the Bahamian authorities, the aircraft involved was a Cessna 402 twin-engine passenger plane that is operated by Flamingo Air, a domestic airline serving several islands across the Bahamas. The flight had departed from Linton Penlang International Airport in Nassau to Was and was en route to San Andros Airport. Officials said that the aircraft reportedly encountered difficulties shortly after takeoff before crashing into a bush-covered area near North Andros. The exact circumstances that led to the crash are still unknown, and investigators have begun a comprehensive probe in order to determine what caused the fatal accident. Police have confirmed that there were 10 people on board the aircraft, including 9 passengers and the pilot. And in the immediate aftermath of the crash, Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis had initially announced that one passenger had survived. However, during a later press conference, he confirmed that the survivor had succumbed to severe injuries, bringing the total death toll to 10. Authorities have not yet released the identities of the victims as officials continue the process of notifying their families. The tragic incident has deeply shaken the island nation. Addressing the media, Prime Minister Davis expressed profound sorrow over the loss of life, saying that the nation had been preparing to celebrate its Independence Day but was instead forced to mourn a heartbreaking tragedy. He said that the Bahamas had once again witnessed a painful chapter in its history and extended his deepest sympathies to every family that is affected by the crash. The Prime Minister stated that the nation stood united with all those who had lost loved ones and assured them that every effort would be made in order to uncover the cause of the accident. The Bahamian Aircraft Accident Investigation Authority has launched a full-scale investigation into the disaster. Officials said that investigators will examine every possible factor that may have contributed to the crash, including the aircraft's mechanical condition, weather conditions at the time of the flight, and maintenance records, operational procedures, and the pilot's communications before the aircraft went down. Experts are expected to inspect the wreckage carefully and collect evidence from the crash site in order to reconstruct the aircraft's final moments. Well, following the accident, the Ministry of Energy, Utilities and Aviation announced the temporary suspension of Flamingo Air's air operator certificate. Government officials emphasized that the move is purely a precautionary safety measure and does not imply any conclusion regarding the airline's responsibility for the crash. The suspension will remain in effect while aviation authorities complete their investigation and assess the airline's operational safety standards. Authorities also disclosed that the fatal crash was the second safety-related incident involving Flamingo Air on the same day. Earlier on Friday, another Flamingo Air aircraft operating a flight to Guyana experienced a technical issue shortly after takeoff, and according to the Energy, Utilities and Aviation Minister Jobat Kolebi Davis, the pilot detected the problem, declared a precautionary return and safely landed the aircraft back at Nassau. All the passengers disembarked without any injuries. However, shortly after the aircraft had been evacuated, it unexpectedly caught fire while on the ground. Emergency responders managed to contain the fire and no injuries were reported, and that incident is also under investigation as authorities work in order to determine whether there is any connection between the two occurrences. The government has clarified that investigators are treating both the incidents seriously but have not yet established any link between them. Aviation experts will review maintenance records, aircraft inspections, operational procedures, and technical documentation in order to determine whether the two events were isolated incidents or if there are broader safety concerns involving the airline. Flamingo Air has issued a brief statement expressing deep sorrow over the tragedy and confirming that it is fully cooperating with the Bahamian Aircraft Accident Investigation Authority and other government agencies. The airline stated that its immediate focus remains on supporting the families of the victims while assisting investigators with all the requested information and documentation. And as the rescue personnel, forensic experts and aviation investigators continue their work at the crash site, the nation remains united in grief. Flags were lowered, Independence Day celebrations were overshadowed by mourning, and messages of condolences poured in from across the Caribbean and beyond. Many residents described the tragedy as one of the darkest moments in the recent Bahamian aviation history. Well, the investigation is expected to take time, as aviation accident inquiries typically involve detailed technical analysis and extensive evidence collection. Authorities have appealed to the public in order to avoid speculation until official findings are released. They have assured citizens that the investigation will be transparent and thorough, with the primary objective of determining the exact cause of the crash and identifying any measures that are needed to strengthen aviation safety across the nation. Well, for now, the Bahamas mourns the loss of 10 lives cut short in a tragedy that has shocked the nation. Families await answers, investigators continue their work, and the country hopes that the lessons learned from this devastating accident will help prevent similar tragedies in the near future. That's all for now. Stay tuned to the Savera for more updates. Do like, comment and subscribe to the channel.